7.2 is ellipses and circles. I have x minus h over a squared plus y minus k over b squared equals 1. So in this book, they make whatever is largest a. So this is a here and here. And so you notice that it's underneath the x squared, so that's the way you go right or left from the center. And then they make the b always be the shorter side. So it's going to switch based on your problem. And c is always the distance to your foci. This is your foci. C. And then your vertices are on the long end. And your covertices, are on the short end. And so that is your ellipse, going horizontally. Vertically, it's still going to be the same thing. They still make whatever is longest A. That's different than your algebra book last year. Your algebra book last year always made whatever is underneath X be your A and your B. But in this case, this book does whichever one is longer makes it your A and your B. And then the distance to your foci is C. And now your vertices are on the longer side on the major axes. Your covertices are on the shorter side. And it's still c squared equals a squared minus b squared, the larger side squared minus the smaller. If you did the smaller minus the larger, it wouldn't make any sense because you'd have c squared equals a negative number, which means you can't take a square root of it. Okay, number 1, x minus 3 squared over 36 plus y plus 1 squared over 9. Make it an arrow. Okay, so my center, just like we did with the parabolas, is going to be 3, negative 1. You kind of do opposite of this. So if it's a minus 3 because your h is actually 3, and in this case this came from a y minus a negative 1, your y is negative 1. So I have a point at 3, negative 1. And then before we do our vertices and covertices, I'm just going to go square root of 36 is 6. And since it's underneath the x, your x-axis runs left and right, so you're going to go 6 left and right from the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then square root of 9 is 3. So you're going to go up 3, down 3, which makes your ellipse. Oops. Let me try to draw a little better. Okay, these are your vertices, covertices. And so, since we went out 6 from the center, instead of me trying to count, just so that you can get some practice, not just counting on your axis. If I went out 6 to the right, 6 to the left, that's changing the x part of your axis. So if I add 6, I get 9. If I subtract 6, I get negative 3. If I went up and down, I added 3 going up, 3 going down. That's going to change my y part for my covertices. So that's going to be 3 comma. If I add 3, that's 2. If I subtract 3 from the negative 1, that's negative 4. Then your foci equals the square root of, oops, sorry. Let's erase that and start over. It's not going to let me. Okay, so my c squared equals my bigger square denominator minus my smaller, which means c is the square root of 27, which is 3 root 3. You need to simplify your radicals. Square root of 27 is between square root of 25, which is 5, square root of 36, which is 6. So it's in between 5 and 6. So I'm going to go out, let's change colors. Go out about 5 and a little more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. Let's erase this. I didn't mean to leave it there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a little more. 5 and a little more. These are your foci. So if I went out to the right 3 root 3, and to the left 3 root 3. From the center, that's changing the x part. So my foci are 3 plus or minus 3 root 3, comma, negative 1. Eccentricity is your distance from your center to your focus, center to your foci, over the center to your vertex. So I want my ratio from my center to my foci divided by center to my vertex. I want to see how much this is taking up. Distance to my foci was 3 root 3. Distance to my vertex was 6, which turns into 3 root square root of 3, 3 root 3, which is square root of 3 over 2. And that has nothing to do with your unit circle. Second problem, I got to put it in standard graphing form, which means I need to group my x's together, my y's together, and I need to move my 3 over to the right. Then, before I do anything, I need to factor a 4 out of the first part. I need to do nothing with the second part. Then I'm going to take my 6 divided by 2 and square it, which is going to give me 9. And if I add 9, I need to add 4 times 9 to the other side, which is 36. Then this one, I'm going to take negative 10 divided by 2 and square it. That's 25. Add 25. That's going to give me, let's say purple now. 4 times x plus 3 squared. You're going to factor x squared plus 6x minus plus 9, y squared minus 10y plus 25. That's y minus 5 squared equals 3 plus 36 plus 25 is 64. And then you have to have a 1 on the end, so we need to divide by 64, which is going to give us x plus 3 squared over 16 plus y minus 5 squared over 64 equals 1. So my center is negative 3, 5. So negative 3, 1, 2, 3, 5. There's my center. My vertices, let's I'm going to go out 4 right and left. 1, 2, 4. So square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 64 is 8. So I'm going to go up 8. Obviously, I'm going to run out of room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, pretend we've gone all the way up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's kind of hard to graph these on the computer. That's a really bad one, but my vertices, co-vertices, and there should be a vertices up here. So for my vertices, since obviously I didn't draw the picture very well on here, if I went up and down 8, that means I'm going to add 8 to this one. Hold on. Okay, sorry, the phone rang. So then my vertices, again, I went up and down. So I went up and down 8. So if I add 8 to the 5, I'm going to get 13. If I subtract 8 from the 5, I'm going to get negative 3. There's a minus sign there. And then for my co-vertices, I went right and left 4. So if I add 4, I'm going to get 1. If I subtract 4, I'm going to get negative 7. So 4, wait, let me try that again. If I add 4, I'm going to get 1. If I subtract 4, I'm going to get negative 7. And then my foci, I'm going to run out of room. My foci, my c squared equals the subtraction of the denominators. So my c squared equals 48. So c is going to equal square root of 48, which is 4 root 3, which means I'm going to go up almost a little more than, or more than 7, almost to 8. So we're just going to go up and down for my foci. But if I go up and down, that's changing the y part. So my foci is negative 3, 5 plus or minus 4 root 3. So you just take your center and then add it whichever way you're going. If I'm going up and down, I'm adding to the y. My eccentricity is basically my ratio to my foci over the distance to my vertex, which in this case was 8. And again, if I cancel them out, I get square root of 3 over 2. And again, that has nothing to do with the unit circle. That's just coincidence. Okay, these identifying the type of conic. In the book it says to do the discriminant, but you don't really need to, because when we start rotating conics, I'm going to have to reteach the discriminant a different way based on your numbers. So right now all you're going to do it based on your squared terms. If I only have one squared term, that's a parabola. If I have two squared terms and it's the same coefficient, they both have a coefficient of 1, same sign, same coefficient, that's a circle. This one, I've got a plus sign between them, both positive or both negative, but most of the time you'll see it positive. But there's different coefficients. There's a 1 versus a 4. This is an ellipse. If I have two squared terms and there's a minus sign between one of them, and it doesn't matter what the coefficients are, that is going to be your hyperbola.